really feel proud that you're part of our Washington Freedom and Infinite family. And today we're going to try and have some interesting aspects of your life from which all of us can draw some lessons.
Sure. Thanks, Amit. Thanks for having me. And obviously, thanks to everyone. Like I said before, it's going to be a bit of fun. See how we go.
So let's start from where the journey began for you, right? When did you start playing cricket? What was the most exciting thing that drew you to the sport?
So I started playing when I was very young. I think maybe when I was 2 or 3 years old. Dad would just roll out tennis balls in the backyard, and I'd go around with like a foam bat and just hit it around. And my early memories of cricket was just me having a lot of fun, and to me that was the most important thing at the time. And as my career progressed and my journey's progress, that thing turns into a lifestyle, a career, and stuff. But for me, that's really important that I always go back to the reason why I play cricket, and that's because I enjoy it and I love the game and I want to get better, and that's what always drives me, instead of not necessarily trying to prove others wrong and the accolades and all the runs and wickets and stuff, which is always nice. But I think you always go back as a kid and be like, well, why do I actually play this game? It's because I love it. So it puts things into perspective pretty easily in that sense. But yeah.
Any athletes or people from your life who inspired you early on in your career?
Yeah, I obviously loved cricket, so I'd watch Tendulkar, Dravid, Ponting, all those guys. But outside of cricket, I loved Kobe Bryant. He was a big inspiration for me. Basketball, obviously. Rest in peace. He's passed away, unfortunately. But I think following him taught me a lot of lessons about how to work hard and how to be dedicated and towards a craft and continue on day by day, and build building blocks and get 1%, well, not even 1% better, 0.1% better every day. And if you can feel like you've done that to some extent, you can be satisfied with what you've achieved.
And you were a standout player in the age group cricket as well. So how did that prepare you for the big stage?
Yeah, for sure. I think you always you play New Zealand under 19s and guys around the world, and you get to test yourselves with skills. But I think looking back on those experiences, they were great. Being able to play around the world when I was young, testing myself in different environments against different players. And I think if I probably go back on that, I'd probably tell myself to chill out a little bit, like not realize it's the life or death. It's only cricket at the end of the day. So for me, it was probably I maybe took it a little bit too seriously. But I think there's definitely a balance in life, being able to want something badly but not want it too badly, and then you start obsessing over it. Which I think for me personally, like, yes, I'm obsessed with cricket, but I'm not overly, if something goes wrong, I'm not, capitulating because this is my only thing in life. It's not like I'm defined by the cricketer I am. I'm a person off the field too. So I think if I can have that mindset, failures and successes, they kind of just happen. I'm not sort of dictated by them.
Lovely. I mean, like I told you yesterday as well, right? At this young age also, we feel you have a lot of clarity of thought, and that's what kind of makes you who you are right now.
Yeah, I guess so. But I think as cricketers, not even just on the field, but off the field too, as people, like, we want clarity, right? We want to be able to be as present as possible and not have a million thoughts going on in our heads, and live life right now, here and now. And for me, that's probably the biggest mantra for myself, and I've come to a stage where I'm 24 years old. I've got a reasonable outlook on life, and still a lot for me to learn. But I think the more I can continue to hopefully be present and not worry about things in the future, let go of things in the past, obviously learn from what's happened, but every step in this journey and savoring every moment is going to be important for me, I think.
I guess I need to get my diary out and start noting those one-liners.
Nah, not at all.
Words of wisdom by Rachin. Rachin, talking about cricket now, you mentioned your idols like Sachin, Ricky, Dravid. Do you think any of those of your idols influenced your playing style?
Yeah, I think so. It's a funny story. As a kid, me and Dad used to look at videos, and I'd watch the videos before of like specific guys hitting different shots, and I'd go watch them on the laptop or whatever, and then I'd go and I'd practice them in the net, so I try and hit them the exact same way. So, for example, I have a Tendulkar straight drive, that little punch that he does. I'd practice that. I'd look at a Ponting pull shot and I'd practice that, or Hayden walk down and go mid wicket. I'd practice that. So that definitely influenced my batting, and then from an early age. I guess now I've got my own style and own way of doing things, but I think there's certain shots that I've taken and borrowed from those guys and put, I guess, my own spin on it. Because you look at those guys; they're the best at what they do. They play the best shots in the world. So I just thought, why not try? When I was young, obviously, and now you've got all these shots in your book, and it's got your own flavor to it.
Amazing. And uh, that's where I need to pause and give everyone a little insight into what happened, right? You met Sachin Tendulkar at a very early age and also got his autograph. So, would you like to tell that story?
Yeah, sure. See, lucky enough to meet him. I was named after him, so it was cool to have that experience when I was young. I was probably 7 years old in Wellington. I was having just like a net in this like indoor facility, and then here comes Sachin, rocks up with a couple of coaches, a couple of bowlers, and I was like obviously starstruck. And I was just like, was able to sit and then like literally sit down like cross-legged in the net next door, watching him bat for a good hour or two, and that was a very special experience for me, being able to see my idol literally right in front of me batting, and was able to, after he very graciously signed my bat like autograph. Took a good time and had a little conversation with him, and obviously he won't remember that, but that's something I'll always cherish, because like seeing a guy who's achieved so much, being so humble and giving his time to like a 7-year-old from New Zealand, that was a pretty special memory for me.
You definitely left an impact on me.
Oh, definitely did.
Amazing. Let's switch our focus to the MLC right now. This is the first time you're playing in Major League Cricket, and you're a key part of our team. How has your experience been so far?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, we've talked about it before, but it's how USA cricket's growing, and it's been great to be a part of it. Great crowds, and we've had great support from the fans, and very grateful for all the support as always. And I think being part of the Washington Freedom's been great. I mean, Sanjay, own like one of the nicest blokes I've ever met, and the way he runs the team, the way Maxi Klinger, everyone, the whole Aussie setup is great. Great players around us, world class players to rub shoulders with and learn from. But I think it's just a great environment to be in. I've been in a few environments where it quite hasn't felt as like team first, or like a bit selfish sometimes, but here everyone's striving for the right thing. We all know what we want. We all care for each other. We all have empathy. We all worry about each other off the field, and we play for each other, which I think is very important. You build that camaraderie off the field, and then you're able to go out there and enjoy each other's company and work towards a goal together, which I think is pretty special.
Absolutely. One thing which stands out here is the kind of atmosphere that has been created, and like you said, everyone plays for each other, everyone backs each other, and the good time we have on and off the field is clearly visible in terms of how the team is also performing right now.
Definitely. I mean, obviously it does help when you're winning, and I'm sure on the workplace when things are going well, I'm sure it's easy for that. But I think it's great because we have a bunch of great humans, and I think that's what matters. Like I doubt even if we were losing, I don't think it would be any different, and which is quite a nice place to be in. Okay, no matter what, we're going to be having consistent behaviors through failures or successes, and we're going to keep pushing on and keep being resilient through that all. So, like you nailed on said, the atmosphere is great.
And from cricket perspective, when you're on the field, you play for different teams. Now you play for Chennai back in India, you play for New Zealand, you play here. The roles change depending on which team you're playing for. So how do you prepare yourself to adjust for what's being offered to you?
Definitely. I think of it in this way, like everyone's a cog in the machine, and everyone has their job and everyone has their role to play on that day or in general. And whatever's required of me for the team, I'll hopefully go out and do and try my best. Obviously, you're not guaranteeing success at all times. You can control your preparation, control your process, but at the end of the day, results, they vary. And I think the quicker I'm able to accept that, the better. And I think it's great for me as a cricketer because it grows my game and grows my versatility. I'm able to play different roles and in the team and be able to contribute in different ways, and I think that helps me. If I go back to opening the batting for my next team, then I'll be able to take these learnings from here, batting through the middle and finishing. Hopefully, I have to extend the period I'm at the crease, gives me confidence to know, okay, I can make it up in the back end or whatever it is. So I think it comes down to me being a more well-rounded cricketer, and that's what I want to do and be able to contribute to teams in different ways, not just with runs at the top of the order. It can be taking it deep, or with my bowling or fielding, whatever is required of me the other day.
Yeah, and with the bowling also, you've been kind of doing phenomenal for us.
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, it's lucky that the coaches and Smudger, the skipper, backs me and stuff. It's always nice to have that, but yeah, you like I said, you do a job when you can, and luckily enough, it's worked out so far.
Yeah, I mean, we've been blessed to have you in our team.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Rachin, last 1 year has been phenomenal, right? The performances at the World Cup, ICC Emerging Player of the Year, so much has happened for you. How do you handle this success which has come to you within such a short span of time?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good question because it's easy to get caught up in that stuff. I think, like I sort of said before, it comes down to the reason why I play cricket. And I think for me, I'm not necessarily trying to build like a legacy of, trophies, runs, wickets and stuff. That'll come as long as I know what my motivation is. My motivation is because I love the game and I want to get better every time. And I love contributing to any team that I play for. Those three things are, I look at it intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, right? Extrinsic is, I don't feel like it's as sustainable. If you're like, okay, I want this trophy, I want this many runs, I want this, I want that, which is all material things, right? Whereas here I can look inwards and be like, okay, what actually drives me? And for me, that makes me handle the success and failures a lot better. And I think it's, come from my family as well, the way my mum and dad grew me up. It's like, okay, like we don't get too high, we don't get too low, we stay consistent, we stay in a happy sort of vibe, no matter what happens, success or failure. We know that, look, you have some success doesn't mean you're on top of the world. You can come back down crashing very quickly. You have some failures doesn't mean you're the worst cricketer, the worst person in the world. For me, that keeps my life pretty consistent and it gives you a good perspective on a lot of things. So obviously very blessed to have the success and very, very thankful for the, fanfare, and I love playing for the fans and, entertaining them at all. And, very grateful for everyone who, supports me. But at the end of the day, I think I play cricket because I enjoy it, and as a 5-year-old boy, that's what you do. I didn't necessarily dream of, winning this IC Emerging Player of the Year. Didn't dream of, scoring 3 World Cup, not necessarily, but I just dreamed of playing cricket because I loved it, So for me, it's always coming back to that.
Wonderful. And I've spoken to a lot of cricketers, right? After playing for 10, 15 years, somehow they get a moment where they pause, whether it's due to injury. And that's when they realize, okay, I've been trying to chase so many goals, but I started playing cricket because I love the sport. And that's what they go back to doing. And it changes their perspective about the game.
Exactly. And I think that earlier, well, it's not just cricket. I mean, even work too and stuff. I think if you can, well, for me, it's just enjoying each part of this journey. I used to probably be like, I'll use a sort of analogy. When I was younger, I used to be like, okay, I want to be the best cricketer in the world. That's something I was so, obsessed with. And then I sort of went through my journey and I did a little bit of research and like reading and stuff. And I was like, well, there's not going to be a moment where I'm going to sit there and be like, I'm the best cricketer in the world. You ask 10 people on the street, they're going to give you 10 different answers. So like, I was like, well, and also it's not going to be this amazing, euphoric, happy feeling when I am there, because you'll be like, oh, well, what's next? Yeah. So I think of it like this. If, like the mountaintops up there, I think, okay, I know what my goal is reasonably well enough. I know where I want to get to. If I'm trying to scale this mountain and looking at up there too much, then I'm going to miss, I'm going to slip and fall pretty early because, I'm not looking at what's in my feet. If I'm looking down at my feet all the time, then I'm not going to go on a different path. I'm not going to end up, I'm not going to take the right turn. But then if I can look at my feet most of the time and be like mindful every step, but have the off glance at where I want to go, that's going to hold me in good stead. I'm in the right direction, but then I'm present with my feet and know, okay, I'm taking each step as it is. So for me, it's the journey of that and knowing, okay, like, yeah, that's where I want to go, but then all this in here is what's important to me. And that's the journey. That's the whole saving of the journey. Because for me, the journey is a reward, not necessarily the summit. That makes sense,
Yeah, it does make sense. And like I said, again, keep your diaries out, start taking notes. This is quite interesting. Rachin, another thing which we are quite fascinated with and everyone would want to know is, how do you handle nerves? Because whether it's your debut or whether you're batting in front of a 50,000 crowd, which is cheering the team which you're playing against, how do you handle your nerves?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think I go back to, I guess, my first World Cup game against England. It's a very special day for New Zealand, and to have shared that with a good friend, Devon, was amazing. But I was definitely nervous. I think it was the first time I batted in the top 3 for New Zealand. Sort of an injury happened. I was able to come in and play. And I the night before, I like to go through, in terms of my preparation and be like, okay, how can I eliminate potential distractions? And I'd sit there and I'd write down in my notes, well, look, number 3 is Kane Williamson's position. No matter how well I do, he's going to come back and bat here. So it actually doesn't matter, like I can go out there and play with freedom. So actually convincing myself that I can just go out there and enjoy the moment and play with freedom, because that's important to me. And I know that's going to have the best chance of me having success. But also accepting the nerves, like it's okay to be nervous. It's because I know it's okay because it's something I care about. Like obviously I care about cricket and I'm going to be nervous. I want to do well and that's completely fine. And I find being able to accept things means, it's a lot easier to take. If I'm trying to fight being nervous all the time, ignoring the feeling, ignoring what it feels like, it's just going to build up more, and I'm going to get more tense and tight because I haven't quite, sat down and felt it. Whereas like I said to myself, yeah, okay, like I might be the most nervous person, I'll be the, on the field, and that's fine. I'm allowed to be nervous. It's it's a pretty cool event, and I'm excited to, showcase my skills. And I think for me, doing that allows me to, be calm in that moment, because at the end of the day, when the ball's coming down to you, it's just you and the ball. And it's, in that moment is what excites me so much. Like sometimes you don't hear the crowd when you're batting, you don't hear people chanting your name, you don't hear them chanting the other team. It's literally you in your process watching the ball by ball. And I think for me, it's coming back to my process, my pre-ball routine, everything that I do, because you can't control when the ball comes down and your reaction. Right. Like it is what it is, but I can control everything before, how consciously I'm breathing, what my mind clutter is, how clear I am before the ball's bowled. So that's something and if I feel like I wasn't able to control that, then I'll be disappointed, rather than, I had a shot, I took an option, I just miscued it. That's okay.
Okay, that's awesome. Now let's get to some of the lighter moments. Whether it's in corporate world or sport, communication is a key. Do you recall any such communication where you spoke to some of your teammates, and he made you laugh in a serious situation?
Yeah, so I remember, this is actually a very long time ago. I was probably 18 or 19. I'm probably 18, playing early on for Wellington. And so I mentioned Dev a couple of times. So we play for the same domestic team, Devon Conway. So he's gun player. Came out to bat. I was a little bit nervous. I was like, oh yeah, it's a pretty important situation. I think it was like the fourth innings or something. And he came to me. He was like, all right, bro, like what song have you got for me today? I was like, that's chill. It's just something, so like you didn't expect that. And I was like, oh great, and then because we have similar music tastes, very similar people in that way. So we like in between overs, we just sing that song, together, and we'd share that moment, which I think was cool. It took all the, insecurities away about my game and what's happening out here on the pitch. And for a young guy to see that, for a guy who's pretty experienced and who's doing so well, was like, oh yeah, that puts, and then I guess on the flip side to that, being able to have fun, but then also know, okay, how to keep each other switched on, was during that game as well against England. Like I think we both got 100s and we needed about 50 runs to win. He came to me in between and said, all right, bro, come on, like how special would it be? How cool would it be if we're both here at the end here? Like, let's make sure of it every ball. I was like, okay, thanks, Steve. I'll stay on, And I think it shows the relationship that we have, and I mean in the corporate world too, the relationship with, employees and everyone together, and your camaraderie with each other. And I think being able to have those words, the lighthearted words and the hard stuff here and there, and being able to be honest to each other, I think is huge in a partnership.
That's a lot to learn from in real life situations as well.
Exactly. And I think like since me and Dev spent so much time with each other, it makes that easier. And I think we know each other so well. We've given the time and effort to know each other. And I think I don't know obviously what it's like in the corporate world, but I guess you know the people around you, and it makes it easier to give those words, whether it's harsh truths or realities or honest feedback. Probably makes it easier because you know each other well, and it's coming from a place of, a good place of care, not necessarily a place of, anger or, distaste or anything.
Yeah. Moving on towards last couple of things. One, through your journey or through road to success, who are the people who played a crucial role in your life, whether it's from your family or coaches, teammates?
Yeah, I think there's been a bunch of coaches. I think I'd be here for hours to list every single one of them. So I'm very thankful for all of them. Very lucky to have a great group of teammates, not just from New Zealand, from, IPL was great, here was great. Growing up, school cricket, for Wellington, junior cricket, all those guys, I've got such a good group of mates, training partners. Very grateful for that. They've being able to push each other and drive each other, and we're all pretty motivated people. So being like with the right crowd and having good mates goes a long way. But I guess like for me, it'd probably be my parents. Dad was like my coach growing up, so there's obviously a little bit of niggly time sometimes. A father-son relationship when you're coaching cricket can be very, can get strained. But it was cool. It was a great journey. We learned a lot from each other, and we're very close as a result because we spent a lot of time together, not just in the nets, but also talking cricket and talking the mental side of the game and off the field stuff. Very grateful for it. My mum obviously made a lot of sacrifices for me, and as mums do, would do anything for their kids. So And also they taught me some great life lessons. I talked about, being consistent, having consistent behaviors, treating everyone with respect and empathy, and being humble, and obviously humble with confidence, but keep your feet firmly on the ground, because it's life's tough, and if you think you're ahead of the game, it'll find a way to bring you back.
Wonderful. And you're still young, but if you were to give an advice about mental strength to your younger version, what would it be?
I think I'd say mental strength is interesting, because I think of it like, okay, the whole mental toughness, grind through it. Like, I'm not a massive believer in that, because if I look back and be like, okay, what were the real sort of struggles and stuff and setbacks for me? It's like, well, I put it in perspective, it's not all life or death. It's like, I'm very touch wood, very lucky to live a comfortable life, had a great set of parents, and who drove me to, be the person I am today. So like, those little things, little failures in between life and little, setbacks weren't life or death. So I was able to sit back and be like, it's fine. But then also understanding and accepting that it's part of life. You're not going to live a whole life without, having ups and downs. And I think of it like this, like, life's not going to just be one singular line, linear line going that way upwards. It's going to be like full of troughs, and it's going to be like that. But if I feel like I can trend towards up, that's how I feel. And it's going to be ups and downs, but at least I know I'm getting better every day. Then also it comes down to realizing I learn my best lessons when I'm down the dumps, or when I failed, or when I've set back. Like, there's no way you can live life consistently succeeding and have a successful and happy life. Like, you won't learn how to deal with setbacks, and if something comes, you're done. You'll be so caught up in it. So it's like the acceptance of it. It's bound to happen, and on this life journey, there's a lot of things that will happen, and unfortunately, that's the way it is. And those are many curveballs. And then also, it's like, well, I can learn my best lessons from it. So why wouldn't I just be almost happy that they've happened? Like, not see, there's certain things that are obviously very, very tragic, but I think there's certain things you can put into perspective and be like, well, this is going to teach me a great lesson, and this is going to make me a better person, better cricketer for it. So why not just accept it and look to move on? Because I can't control what's happened, but I can control my reaction to it. I can't control the event, but I can control how I go about it and how I react to what's happened. So,
and it comes from practice, right?
100%. And the more setbacks you have, like, I didn't have this perspective when I was 15. It's just like, the more you do it, the more experience. I probably only had it over the last couple of years, so in the last year or so. So it's just, the more you do it, the more practice you have, and better perspective you'll gain as a result.
Now I think it's nearly time for us to open the Q&A. But before that, let's talk about something really fun. What sort of environment we have in our team, which you would want to talk to them about, and the banters which keep going on over here?
Oh yeah, it's great. I mean, we get into each other a lot in the Washington Freedom. I know the boys are getting into me about the Dallas skyline or something. I was picking up a magnet, and I was like, oh, this looks cool. It's got a Dallas skyline on it, and the boys absolutely ripped me, saying, oh yeah, bro, Dallas skyline's like the most recognizable thing about Texas and Dallas. And the joke keeps going on. I ended up getting a different magnet as a result. So, but it's just an example of the many stuff that we give each other a little bit of banter about. But it builds a good team culture. No one's ever crossing the line. We're good mates, and I think it reflects that in off field and the way we have to spend time with each other.
Absolutely. So Bala, will go for the Q&A now.
Yes, Amit.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have some questions here. Rachin, simple questions. Let's see how you go through them. Do you have a favorite song or playlist that gets you pumped up before a match?
Yeah. Well, I'm a big sort of hip hop fan, so I listen to a lot of that stuff, a lot of American rap, Drake, Kendrick Lamar, Kanye West, J. Cole. So that's my usual playlist.
Okay. Next one's quite interesting. Let's see how you do. If you could choose any of your teammates to be stranded with on an island, who would it be and why?
From any team?
Any team, yeah.
Honestly, I'd mentioned this guy a lot today, but I'd probably say Devin Conway. It's because I spend a lot of time with him. Well, if we're on tour together, I think every waking minute we spend with each other in each other's rooms or doing something. So I think he's someone I wouldn't get too sick of pretty quickly. So I'll choose Dev.
Yeah. And you guys will keep talking about cricket all the
Yeah,
time?
we don't talk that much cricket actually. A little bit here and there, but hopefully not. Hopefully Desert Island's actually quite nice, so we can enjoy the beach lifestyle or something.
Amazing. Okay. If you could swap roles with any of your teammates for a day, who would it be and why?
I'd pick Marco Jansen because he's 6'8". I'd like to see the world from a different height, different perspective. I'd like to feel what it's like to bowl 140 Ks at 6'8" and give it up to the batsman a little bit, because I get it a little bit, so it'd be nice to give that back.
Okay. And which fictional character do you think could make a great cricketer and why?
I think it's a pretty easy one. You can choose any sort of superhero. I think Spider-Man would be great. Obviously, he moves well, sticky hands, catch anything in the field. But also, I think it goes deeper than that. I think I like comic book movies and stuff, but I think his perseverance is massive. He gets knocked down, always keeps coming back up. And in cricket, you fail more than succeed. So I think there's no better person to be there for that.
Okay, last one I'll throw from my end. One thing about Rachin that no one knows.
Wow. I'm a pretty open person. Jeez. Throw him on the spot there. I actually don't know what's there.
Yeah, that's a safe answer.
Yeah, it's a safe answer. I'll leave everything else behind closed doors. No, I actually don't know. That's a good question. Yeah. I'll think of it next time and give it out to everyone.
Yeah, that will help us bring you back the next time, and we can carry on the conversation from there.
For sure, we'll start it off with that.
Yeah. I hope everyone had a good time. I love talking to Rachin as always. Hope you all enjoyed it too.
How's the team's mindset right now ahead of the qualifiers tomorrow? How are you feeling? Does it feel to be constantly under the coaching of Ricky Ponting and the other senior members of the team?
Yeah, I think playoff cricket's always exciting. Being able to, not necessarily a win or lose yet, but I think it's always exciting. There's a bit more around it. The arousal levels are higher, so we're all very excited for it. I think we've played good cricket throughout the competition, so I think we know if we play our cricket, we'll be fine on the day. So, we're just looking forward to the contest, and hopefully we can put our best foot forward. Obviously playing under Punter is amazing. He's a world-class player, but he's also a world-class coach. And I know I was talking to Samit about this yesterday. It's like he's someone who's lives right now. He's not talking about his past performances, although he's achieved so much. His past leadership, right now is what's important for him, and he's driven to helping each player get better in this environment and hopefully winning a trophy as a result. So he's very, very good to be around, not just his cricketing stuff, but his wisdom off the field too, which inspires a lot of us, and a lot of the senior guys too. We've got some of the greatest players in the world at the moment to rub shoulders with. So it's great to be a part of it.
So what are some of your hobbies other than spending time on cricket?
Yeah, I always sometimes struggle to answer this question because a lot of my time is spent with cricket. But I'm pretty chilled out. I guess I enjoy spending time with family and friends a lot. When I'm back in Wellington, whenever I am, I'd like to be spending time with them a lot. I enjoy my company with my friends. It recharges me a lot, and it's just good to see them after a little stint away. I play a bit of PlayStation. I enjoy watching other sports, like basketball and football and stuff. So a lot of stuff is being active. Like I obviously enjoy gymming and all that stuff. I guess that's still sort of contributing to cricket, but I guess I'm a pretty simple person at the end of the day. I love reading too, trying to better myself a little bit day after day. So that stuff takes enough time out of my, in my rest periods, which we don't really get a lot of these days.
Yeah. Is there any pre-match ritual, Rachin, that you follow before any match? Any good luck charm?
Nah, I think cricket can be a very superstitious game, so I try to stay away from that stuff. I'm not a very superstitious person. I think at the end of the day, if I can prepare as well as I can and know I've turned every stone I can be comfortable with whatever happens, no matter what the results. So I think of it that way, and whatever will be, will be. I don't necessarily have any sort of rituals. I have a preparation thing that I go through, and I look at the bowlers that I'm playing, and little notes. I write them down on what's important to me on that day, and what my mindset's feeling like, and like I talked about, sort of eliminating all distractions and stuff. But like for me, that's important, and maybe one day I'll get more superstitious as the years go by. But as of right now, not really.
Sure, sure. Thanks a lot, Rachin, for being with us today, taking out the time on evening of such a crucial match tomorrow. But all of us here at Infinite, we are wishing you and the team all cheers, all the best for the games ahead. Thank you so much, Rachin, for being here with us today.
No worries at all. Thank you very much for having me. It's been a great ride so far. Hopefully, we can have more of these chats in the future over the next coming years.